This is the head honcho of the Supreme Court of Idaho. Now look at how his oath is. And I'm just going to touch base on this. First of all, he signed it down here, Roger. Okay. He's got 2 witnesses. Okay. There's no notary on it, not that he has to because he has 2 witnesses. But it's recorded with the Secretary of State and the state of Idaho in full corporate capacity. Okay. At the same time, it says that he's taken an oath to the state of Idaho, okay, both in upper and lower case, in other words, the municipal. Okay. So there's not a problem there. The problem is when they record it, it goes into the corporate side, and so it stays in that corporate arena. Now that's not Roger, but it might as well could be, okay? Because the Constitution of the United States, okay, is no longer being used in our court systems. We all know this, okay? When you go in, you're charged through a complaint, let it be civil or criminal, and your name is in all caps. When it's in all caps, what it does is it goes ahead and it violates the constitutional principles. And so what takes place is you have no constitutional protection. Okay? Your name's not being brought forth in your true name, upper and lower case, nor is the state of Idaho being brought forth as the people of the state. Okay? Now, here's the state of Idaho. Here's another oath of a corporate judge of the county. This is a full corporate judge. Okay? Now this is John F. Varon. His official oath is to the state of Idaho in full corporate capacity as well as the county of Camas. Okay? Now remember, you know, look at the 2 differences. Okay? Here we got this oath here. Okay? And again, that's to the state of Idaho, municipal. Okay? And as soon as we get over here, we'll kick back, and I think I got a little head here on this one here. Let's see, she's jumping. There we go. Got a little time delay here. Again, the judges have to have the oath to the municipal side. They have to. It's just the way it is. The problem lies with your corporate name. That's where it has to be changed. Your name has to be put in upper and lower case as well as the state of Idaho if you're going to have any true protection. Okay, again, full corporate. Okay, now, is there a true constitutional judge in the state of Idaho? Because here I'm saying, you know, there's no constitutional judges. Okay, according to statute, okay, and this is the Idaho statute or Idaho Code 1-2221, and this is for senior judges. Okay, and this is a certified copy that says that this statute is true and correct. And this was given out by the Secretary of State, the municipal that works both in the corporate as well as the constitutional side. Now what it says here on this section 7 over here, which is pretty small writing, you might not be able to read this, but what it says is for the senior judge to be eligible for assignment, he must have this proper oath. Okay? And so when they take this oath according to the legislation that was passed, it was done to the small state of Idaho, in other words, the small s and the big I, the constitutional state. But what has taken place is the Idaho Supreme Court has changed the small state of Idaho, in other words, the all lowercase state of Idaho, to the upper and lowercase state of Idaho municipal. And I know a lot of people might think that doesn't make a big difference, but this is what it does. It only allows that judge, okay, first of all, not to be even eligible for assignment. Because again, if it's not according to what the legislation which was passed says it is, and they change it, then they can't be an assigned judge to anything. So anyway, they don't have any standing to make a ruling or anything. And so what the Supreme Court of Idaho, the state court judiciary, they changed it to the big S because again, you're being brought forth all through that corporate name. And that, again, is fraud by the state judiciary. Okay? Now, if they left it at the state of Idaho, small state of Idaho, just with the big I, well, then that does, it allows you, the individual, to go into the courtroom that the clerk controls the door to either the left, constitutional, or to the right, the corporate name of democracy, okay? Now here's the corporate bar prosecutor. So not only are the prosecutors the same way, they are constitutional from a county level because they're both working in the constitutional as well as corporate side. But when they go into the state of Idaho, they can only use the corporate side. So there's no constitutional basis for even the prosecutors. So how can the county prosecutor even be a true legitimate prosecutor of the county? He can't be. And then here's an affidavit that shows, again, full corporate capacity and working in the municipal county. See, and this is what's going on. We have to change that. We have to get those affidavits, all these things changed, so that way we have our constitutional protection. And that's the clerk's duty. Now, if they don't want to do it, guess who gets involved? The sheriff does. The sheriff can go in and arrest, stop him, do whatever he needs to do to prevent this to continue. Okay? So, we have to have an area where attorneys are also brought to question, because how many people have been robbed by an attorney? Probably a lot. Okay? I don't know too many people that ever got a kickback. Maybe they did. I don't know how, you know, I have to ask my mom on that one. How about Pena? Pena probably
got one.
Yeah, Pena got a few kickbacks. But anyway, we won't go there on Pena. Won't be nice to Mr. Pena today. But I want you to understand, according to statute, all the attorneys of Idaho are supposed to have a license. Okay, that's how the statute reads. But what has happened is the state of Idaho Bar, which is a private corporation, okay, it's not even a part of the government state of Idaho, which all of us believe, okay? What they do is they issue a certificate of good standing. Because again, only the government can issue a license. Listen to what I'm saying. Only the state of Idaho can issue the license. So, if the bar, the state Idaho Bar, can't issue a license, and they can only give out a certificate of good standing, does that mean that they're part of government? No, this is the actual proof right here that shows that they're not part of government. Okay? Because they can't issue the license. So, as we progress, and you look at this certificate of good standing, okay, notice you have the Idaho State Bar down here on the bottom end, okay, gives you all their information there. Very important to understand that attorneys are not lawyers. Lawyers are not attorneys, okay? Lawyers are not consultants, okay? So in other words, an attorney, when you give him your money, you become a ward of the court. In other words, you don't have the brains to speak for yourself and protect yourself. And if you try to do so, then you'll get in contempt, or your attorney will be filed in contempt. Okay? In other words, the attorney does what he wants to do, but his actual commitment is to the corporate state of Idaho. And so when you give him your retainer in the very beginning, if you look up the terms retainer, it's actually a gift. And so that's where it's very important to understand. Okay? These are all the Idaho statutes that protect constitutionality within the county, within the city, within the state. Okay? So you have one which is pursuant to law, which we talked about. We have another one which is 1939-42, trial on appeal. And that basically means when you have standing, constitutional standing, and you take the ability to go in under this code, if they found you convicted you on any type of area, then what this does, it takes the whole trial, not one item of the trial that you felt that you lost on, it takes the whole trial and puts it up into appeal. And so the whole trial is placed on appeal, not just one item, which is very different, okay? Under section Idaho Code 7-1303, section 3, it proves that there's two forms of government, okay? And what it says is that there's either de jure or de facto form of government, okay? Back to 73-106, accrued rights is very important. Those are all the rights that no one can take away from you. 73-116, that's common law. All courts in this state are under common law. Okay? 9102, questions of law. If there's any questions of law under Title 9, Section 102, then you have to bring those up. You have to bring that out. Otherwise, you have a malicious prosecution. Okay? Now, this is where the forgery takes place. When they put your name in all caps, they're trying to take ownership of it. And in Idaho, that's actually a forgery. And that's defined under Idaho Code 183601. Now, as we move forward, we look at our true name. What's your true name? Okay? Your true name is very important because, again, as an individual, that's what binds you to legal and lawful contracts is your true name, not your corporate name. As we move down into Section Idaho Code 9-303, that's where it breaks down the area of statutes that are public and private. In other words, some are for people who are sovereign, and some are for people who fall under corporate jurisdiction. In other words, rules and policies and things of this nature. Again, 55401, personal property is governed by the law of your domicile. Okay? Personal property tax right now is already done away with if you make your domicile declaration. Okay, now this is where we're having the problems here in Idaho. Okay? This is our judicial branch here for the state of Idaho. And this is Mr. Roger up on top in a cartoon here. And have you had what you consider to be a fair trial as he's pouring water or waterboarding the guy down below? Because again, you don't have that constitutional protection here, okay? You have no way of protecting yourself here in the state or any other state until you start addressing it from the clerk and the sheriff's level, okay? So all these areas that we have here in Idaho that are here to protect you, because the current corporation and the judges, the way they work today, okay, they all use the interpretive rulemaking. In other words, they eliminate anything that you do that you bring forth. So if you have anything that you want to say, okay, the prosecutor who works on the corporate side will tell the judge, I want a motion in limine. In other words, he tells the judge that he doesn't even want to give you the right to speak, because he doesn't want the jury to hear that there are two forms of laws, private and public, that represent different classes of people, nor does he want the jury to hear that you have actual protection within the state. So what happens is they're putting a Band-Aid over the people. It's no different than the Health Care Act that we have currently going on right now here in Idaho too. You know, the people are voicing one thing, but the legislators are doing another. Now, your objection will always be denied, so the judge will go ahead and allow the corporate jury to only hear what they believe they want them to hear. So they never really hear the truth, okay? We have the Idaho Criminal Justice Commission. They're one of the biggest violators here in the state of Idaho of closed meetings, no public access. Isn't that a fun thing? I wonder why we don't have any access to our Criminal Justice Commission. Okay? The reason why is if we had access to them and we knew what was going on, then we would be able to go ahead and inform the general public of them usurping the sovereignty of the people. Okay? And again, they're doing all this through the corporate jurisdiction. And again, in